stuff. Yeah? Alright, test, and the audio is working. Magic. Alright, so now the video is fixed. And let's see your tunes that aren't going to kill the sound. There we go. Alright. So that's good. We got the Discord up running in the background. So if you want to join the Discord, I will put the invite link in chat here. I need to get some bots running for that stuff. Alright, so what are we doing here? Today is Elasticsearch magic, right? A pod, a host, and an app walk into a search bar. Okay. Yeah, that joke went nowhere. But that's cute. So I don't know if anybody knows what Elasticsearch is exactly. So let's talk about that just for a minute. Elasticsearch is basically a search engine. That's really a wrapped bunch of stuff, right? So Elastic, the company Elastic, builds Elasticsearch, which started as an open source project. It has a bunch of other components like Cabana for dashboards. It has actually let's look at some of these so we get an idea of what's going on here. You got Beats, which is a data collection, lightweight data shippers that they have. Logstash is kind of old school. I think it's a thing they bought or took over or something like that. Open source, also processing pipeline. All this stuff is open source. Forgot to mention that. That's pretty important to mention. All of it's open source. And Elastic just has various things that they offer around it. They help get it deployed. They get it built. Standard software company type of thing. They also offer cloud starting at $16.40 per month, $49 per month, etc. Etc. That's pretty cool that they have a price on their site. I find that awesome. And then we got services here. They do various service stuff, consulting or whatever. So that gives you an idea of what Elastic is and Elasticsearch in general from that perspective. And like I mentioned, Kabana is their reporting thing. But Elasticsearch is kind of the heart, i.e. this right here, the heart of the whole product suite that they offer and that they build. It's primarily a search engine. It is not. I must reiterate over and over and over, Elasticsearch is not a database in the general sense of where you store your systems of record. Okay? So if you have that in your mind like that, get it out of your mind. That is not what Elasticsearch is. With that said, it does a lot of amazing stuff. It's a really good search engine. I'll give it that. They got great, interaction out there in the community, etc. As far as the development's going on with the open source aspect of it. It can store tons of stuff, and the thing that I love most about Elasticsearch, I would say, is just the simple fact that it is a distributed system, right? It's not a single point of failure, falls over all at one time, on one box type of engine or storage mechanism. And even though I said a minute ago that this is not a database, it does store data, right? It stores data, but it's not a database in the traditional sense, like a relational database or Cassandra being a distributed database, or one of those things that you put a record in that you always expect 100% to be there, at least at some point, like through eventual consistency or something like that. When you query against results in Elasticsearch, depending on how you query, you may or may not get like the whole thing, because you need to base it on real-time results, you need to base it on sampling, you need to base it on other characteristics like that. So there's a lot of things that you can set or change or whatever whenever you run Elasticsearch based on how you want search results to come back. It's tricky, right? So all this stuff, I scroll down, and it looks like a great place to start would be right here, right? Open and free to use. Just download it and go, seems like. So let's start here and see where we can get to. So we got Windows, Deb, RPM, macOS Linux, MSI Beta. Not even going to touch the beta one. I am going to open this though, the Docker one. So we'll mess with Docker later. Let's take a link here. We'll put it in the chat. I'm going to use the chat kind of as a. That's a good question. Should I use the chat or should I use the goals of today to keep notes? Like I want to do in here today's goals, something like that, and then we'll do this. I'm trying to think of a more efficient way to keep up with all this stuff as we go through things, right? Yeah, it's kind of a good question. Let's see here, just fiddling with something real quick. Oh, cool. Got other channels I need to check out later, because I noticed some people are auto-hosting me. C# Fritz, thank you. You've been awesome. Totally kicking ass for the whole community, as well as yourself. Love your stream. No Op Cat, i.e. Suze, is hosting right now too. Jeff Chatter, thanks Brendan. And Brandon Matthews, I believe is his last name. It's just the consonants in the name. Thanks for the host. James Montemagno, also props, man. Thanks for hosting. Codebytes TV and Codebase Alpha, all hosting. And Tyler Leon Hart is also hosting. Thanks so much for that. Appreciate it. All right, we shall continue onward now. I just accidentally opened all those streams, so I'm sucking up all my bandwidth. Fortunately, I'm on a gigabit connection, so that's awesome. All right. So today's goals, let's see here. We'll get it figured out here. 1, get Elasticsearch installed and running locally, right? And 2, get Elasticsearch installed and started via Docker image in a container. 3, query. Let's put, insert some data and query that data via, let's do this, let's go with, we'll use data grip, and then we'll determine possibly another data IDE or something, right? So that's the goal today. And of course I'll add that to the list for this VM. All right. So install Elasticsearch is also involved. Docker image, that's for that. Over here, though, I want to install the deb. Let's go with the deb and see what we get here. So that's download 109 megabytes. Yep, it took like a freaking second. Boom, just like a flash. One of the other cool things about Elasticsearch is it's pretty reasonably sized, storage-wise, for what it is. I've always been kind of impressed for them to keep it to a reasonable size. And then, of course, some people might be like, dude, 100 megabytes is so much. It's written in Java. It's not exactly like bitcode or C, assembly. It's Java. Give it a break. All right, so I installed it that way. That seemed to just work. We installed 6.6.6 via the deb. I'm going to actually do this. Put that in notes too. Installing. Alright, and then what does it say in the doc? Installation steps. Alright. So run this thing. Or this on Windows. So you can do this on Windows. I'd love to hear input on other people's experiences with running this on Windows. I'm always curious how things run there, but I don't want to go fight that fight these days. Curl this or invoke REST method with PowerShell. That's a lot of text. Why is everything so wordy in PowerShell? Then dive into the getting started video. Alright, so let's bounce out the terminal. Bin Elasticsearch. Oh, is this even... Yeah, where does it... One thing I've always noticed about Elasticsearch or Elastic docs is they tend to write everything with the assumption that you just know where stuff is going and how all these defaults are supposed to work from their perspective. But a lot of the defaults, I use Linux all the time. Okay, so what bin directory in the project? Like, it didn't say, the deb didn't say where it downloaded this to or where it put it. Maybe I can just do this. No. Getting started. Get acquainted with Elasticstack. Let's see. Oh, this is just a bunch of blah. I don't want Kabana yet either. I just want to run this damn thing. And of course, if we run this, it's not running, right? Yeah, see, it's not running. Hey, Frackberg. Hello, Robert Table's crew. Or Round Table of Souls. I don't know why I respond in chat when I'm actually talking. That's always kind of a weird way to do it. So, I'm working on the first steps of getting Elasticsearch installed locally, just kind of based on doing it from the website, right? Kind of like doing path of least resistance, or happy path, sort of, So far, this is what I did. Just to go over it real quick. Started at Elastic here, right? Went to products, clicked on Elasticsearch, talked about it a little bit, what it is. So Elasticsearch being, one of the things I put an emphasis on is Elasticsearch is a search engine data storage thing. You could call it a search engine database, but it's careful. One needs to be careful to not assume that it should be the system of record database. That should be something else, probably. I know sometimes I keep running into people trying to build CRUD apps on top of Elasticsearch. It's a database with a search engine on top. You need to use it for search. That's what it's for. So anyway, I scrolled through this after outlining that detail, and got to, where is it? There's a I guess it's at the very bottom here. Yeah, it says download and use it out of the box. So I was like, all right, that's what it says. Let's see how easy it is to follow their directions. So I came here, I did the deb, and installed it via the installer thing here on Ubuntu. And now it says do this, run this, and I'm like that doesn't say anything. It's kind of some weird directions to go straight to that because you can't run that, right? That doesn't mean anything. You got to find the executable. Like where did the installer install that to? So you install on Windows using MSI repositories in the guide. Let's see if this actually says, yeah, this is a suitable thing for blah blah blah, Debian, Ubuntu, and Debian-based systems. But then I did that, and it's like, all right, so where did it put it? I don't know where it put it. Adds entries in the system. These instructions do not use the app yet. Project for other reasons. And so you can, of course, install it with apt-get like this, right? If you add it via this step here. Super straightforward that way. But still, even then, and basically all I'm trying to do is figure out where they tell you that it exists, right? Because this is what I installed, effectively, using the package manager UI, right? Zombie. Oh, did you get a zombie dude character? I wasn't looking at the thing. I've been trying to keep up with I don't know, I've almost got it where I can do my user interface and do what I'm working on and also see all those things, but somehow I still miss them. That's super frustrating. Yeah, so let's see here. And thanks for the follow there, Frackberg. I like that name. That's a good name. So compares alternative. You can download the following package. Alternatively, you can download. This is one of the things that gets me really frustrated by these websites. They're like, install it these 15 different ways, but and that's it. And they're like, oh, and then you just do stuff with it, right? Like this. What is? Okay, I would love to sudo blah 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 start and whatever. The thing is, I don't even know if it installed it in init or systemd or what it did. Certainly you can do that. Checking that Elasticsearch is running. Yeah, no, you just do a git and it's boom. It's super easy with curl, but that is so frustrating. If anybody from Elastic watches this later, take some advice. Like, actually put instructions on where this thing is going. You say run Elasticsearch afterwards, but you don't actually say where it is. So I guess what I'm going to have to do is know how to use Linux, which, how do you do the run find command thing again? Let's see here. Linux, find file. I forget what the command is. Yeah, just like, yeah, find name What is it? Well, sometimes I hate this command. Maybe I should use grep. Whatever. So what is it? Find the from everywhere name Elasticsearch. Oh, don't give me this denied crap. Oh, it's still gonna. Oh, that's because it's cache. Oh, there. See, now it's already getting weird, right? So, Lintian overrides Elasticsearch. Share Elasticsearch bin Elasticsearch. So this is probably where I want to go, right? So let's do that. CD user share bin and then list. Okay, so that looks like what I want. So what was the command now? Now I gotta go back and look at the command. So just run it? I just want you to run it. Okay, Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch. Permit. Oh yeah, so I'm really not a big fan of that. That's kind of bad. Let's yeah, because that did not run unless it ran through the errors, which yeah, it's still dead. Let's let's not go that way, and I'm gonna go kill that one. We're gonna do it. Let's see. What was this? This is the. We're gonna take a note. Don't follow the basic instructions here. Yeah, there we go. And then downloads, whatever. I'm skipping all that. Let's go to the getting starting page. That looked way better. Getting started. Is it down here? Your go for launch. Start Elasticsearch. Fire up your run it. And, was it here that I went to that had better instructions? No, this is the crap page. Get started guide. Oh no, let's look at the repositories. That's where it was. Yeah, this looks like the better one. Better installation options. There we go. So in here, I want to go with the deb route like I did, but we're going to use this. So go get the key. There we go. And then, oh, I didn't even install it before. I don't even know if that's there. It's probably what caused an error. Remove it. Oh, but I already have it, so whatever. And then echo the list. There we go. Then apt-get, and then install Elasticsearch. So my money is that this is gonna actually work better. Oh yeah, I wanted to remove it. Darn it. Let's use sudo apt auto remove. Clear. Okay. And then let's see, where is that silly tool? There it is. Then Elastic. Oh, Cabana's installed too? Or you can install Kabana this way? That's installed. Maybe. Oh, I don't want Amazon. Let me remove that while I'm here. Alright. Where did it go? It's a good thing y'all raided right after I just went through the dilemma of having frozen video camera stage issue. That was super annoying. I had to restart the stream. Every once in a while it seems to happen in the stream. So what the hell? It doesn't say anything. Alright. Docker pool in a minute and just give up on the local installation. I like to make sure that I have that though. So that should work fine. It says already installed, right? Yeah. So and alternative package, don't install Debian package directly. Enable automatic creation of these indices. Let's try to do this too. Running Elasticsearch with sysv init systemd. Running Elasticsearch with systemd. Well, let's try this actually. Once Elasticsearch server user lib systemd system Elasticsearch service. So it created a symlink. Okay, so that knew where it was. So then we just jump in here and let's try to actually start the service. Whoa, what did that do? Is that the right thing? Or did I just get Apache server? And damn it, why do I even have the Apache server running? That's what it looks like. 127.0. Yeah, I'm not super happy about that running. So it looks like it started. Let's see, what is the port to check on this though? Checking that Elasticsearch is running. You can test Elasticsearch running by sending it port 9D200. That's what it is. Alright, so curl 127.z.z.1 9200. Boom. Hey, we're running. Alright, so we have Elasticsearch running now locally on the machine. And let's see, does this, we have our unique name, cluster name. Of course, this isn't a cluster, it's a single node, so anytime you're running a distributed database on a local machine, you're running a singular node of it, if it even runs that way, right? Now, theoretically, I could go out and spend zillions of dollars and buy more laptops and just run my own local node, but I'm not doing that. We'll talk about that later, because I do actually have a bunch of machines that I should run this on, just for fun. But it is currently running an Apache Cassandra cluster, because that's what I do. All right. I like their tagline too, for search, because that's what it is. It's for search. All right, so here's some configuration stuff. Here's the directory layout. So user search. See, this is what I needed 10 minutes ago, right? When I started doing this whole shindig. So I wonder... Yeah, so anyway, these are the directories. This is what I was looking for a minute ago. This is probably what I should have ran, or not that, but the /bin Elasticsearch to start a node. But as you saw when I went there and ran that, like they said to do, it didn't work. Right? It just doesn't do anything. So that's pretty frustrating when it comes to Elasticsearch. The getting started docs are just weird. You need to sit down and figure out what the heck to do. And once you get into it, I mean, this is a good first doc right here. This should probably be the first page instead of that other thing that says run this other thing, and then your installer pops up and you say, okay, I click on the install, and then you don't know where any of the stuff is installed. It's making the assumption that you are supposed to know where these paths are. This is Linux. You don't want to assume that kind of stuff. Sure, at some point you get familiar with those things, but by all means, don't assume that the end user is going to know where you've just stuck all the junk. So, all right, we have Elasticsearch running locally. So over here on our little checklist, I'm going to put done and make it bold. Oh, that's italics. Bold. There we go. Now let's see here. Now we want to Oh, we want to stop that actually. So the other command is, where'd it go? Just stop. Did I do? Yeah, just going to stop it with systemd, also like so. Oops. Let's try that again. There we go. So now if I curl, I should just get dead space. Yep, connection refused because there is no connection to make. Alright. So now let's try the Docker situation. So we're going to Docker pull this whole shindig. Oh, they have their own Docker hub repo, it looks like, or registry or whatever. Alright, that'll take a second or two. Curious how big it is. I just realized I should have OBS monitoring. Like I need to put a screen over to my side to monitor this. I have it set up at the office, but not here at home. But my office was dead on the internet today. So that's when internet life just sucks. Internet goes down for whatever. They have one of the antenna thing or whatever that bounces it across the street, like building to building. It's one of those things that you have to like point the dish at the other dish. I'm totally spacing on the name of it. But they have that, and it's really good bandwidth most of the time. I get a solid 100 megabit or better. And I have nice Ethernet connection, lots of stuff set up. But today, it crapped out on me. All right, how's our image doing? Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, I almost have this all on my screen, on my desktop screen. Here, I'll show you how this is running real quick. Yeah, so craziness. Here's OBS. Here's the chat window right here, right? Oops, can't really see it, whatever. And then this is what you guys are actually seeing. Oh, badass! My first subscription. Woohoo! Thanks, Robert Tables. You kick ass, dude. Yeah, I've been wondering what that looks like on the screen when it pops up and stuff. So very cool. Yeah, you got you a zombie. I totally got it. I'm hardcore interested in figuring out how to like hack all that stuff too to make it just even more metal and more zombie and more crazy. But you know, one thing at a time, right? Cool. Yeah, thanks again, man. Oh, so what was I doing? Yeah, pulling an image. So we probably did that, right? Let's get the screen back here so y'all can see it. Boom, the screen. All right, whoops, come back here, command line. Download a newer image for blah, blah, blah. Well, that's what I told you to download, right? 66, oh. Yeah, okay, whatever, Docker. So we have it, and let's do this. So the Docker run -p is going to open that port and open up this port so we can use 9200 just like we did a minute ago. And it's going to do single node and something blah, 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 blah. So basically it's going to run the thing just like I did on the local machine, but in the container, right? So launched, OpenGDK was something, something, something. What did that even say? I feel like I should read that. Open, where'd it go? Oh yeah. Option blah was deprecated in version 9, will likely be removed for release. OpenJDK 64-bit server VM warning. Oh, okay, because yeah, whatever. It's not super pertinent to us at the moment. So that looks like we're just getting a log tail there on it. That's groovy. So let's see here. Linux, Mac OS, production mode. Fix the kernel setting. I'm not super worried about that. 2 Elasticsearch nodes to bring up the cluster, use the Docker compose YAML. Oh, this is another case of them. That looks cool, right? Docker and Docker. Yeah, I kind of am, right? Well, I mean, it's a virtual machine that's running Docker, but I'm in Linux. I'm running Ubuntu Linux on the machine. I got that to work finally. The logtail by default when you run a Docker container, but don't use the -d. Right, yeah. Yeah, you got me thinking though. Like, what if So, I showed you all the screen, right? A minute ago, which I'll show again just to point at it. So this machine is running Ubuntu Linux 18.04 and the respective kernel that came with that. I don't know if y'all saw me have a Twitter fit like a week or two ago when I tried to install it on stream and it completely biffed and started locking up, so I got super mad and aggro at Dell. And then I tried to install Windows and I tried to upgrade to Pro, just thinking like, well, I'll get by with Hyper-V and Docker, and then that didn't even work. And then the licensing got hosed up, so I got mad. Like, I felt straight up shorted by Microsoft and their stupid key licensing crap. And what happened is they gave me the download of Enterprise and not Pro. But anyway, I don't even want to talk about how mad that made me. I hate the whole Windows world. It's just such a bunch of crap. But anyway, so I sat down and I just got patient, had a beer, and figured out what I needed to do to get Ubuntu installed on the XPS 15. I put a blog entry up too about it. It actually works freaking great if you follow the tips and you go through the steps to do it. It's a little tricky. You gotta make sure you hit the BIOS keys to launch it right and everything, but it's working top bar now. It's so much better than trying to do this kind of stuff on Windows. So now I have Ubuntu Linux running on this machine, 18.04, with the respective kernel. On that, I am now running a virtual machine in VirtualBox, which is the machine that y'all see when I'm on this screen, right? So that window up there is just the virtual machine. It's not my actual desktop. And that just makes it easier and cleaner for me to give y'all a clean desktop, and also forces me to make sure that I go through all the steps of whatever I need to install this stuff, so I'm not missing something from a installation from scratch, right? So it's kind of like a reminder to myself and just making sure that I force myself to go through the steps. And then I'm running Docker inside of that virtual machine, which when you run a virtual machine in VirtualBox on Linux, and then you run a container in that Linux VM, it's kind of the same way when you're running a container in, say, a machine or whatever in Kubernetes or even out on AWS or Azure or GCP, because they're just running VMs and running stuff in the VMs, right? They haven't turned into a Kubernetes / container engine on hardware. You know, they're not running containers on the metal yet, or at least not industry-wide, right? Not like the whole cloud. The whole cloud is not run that way. It's still the land of VMs. So it is kind of funny to think of it like when you stop and think through the steps, right? And to note, I'm doing the install through those layers. So that little error that we saw a minute ago, the OpenJDK is deprecated, right here. It's deprecated because Mark Sweep GC garbage collector is deprecated in version 9.0. Server VM warning. I wouldn't doubt it if that's related to the fact that I'm running this in a VM, and that VM is detected when it runs a container in the VM. Just a thought. But yeah, so that's where we are. We got Elasticsearch. We ran it locally on the VM, and now we're running it. I stopped the local one from executing, and now I am running the Docker one. Which either way, they start crazy fast. It's a really lean engine. So there's not a lot of overhead. Doesn't sit there and take 5 minutes to start up or anything crazy like that. So here's the Docker compose file to run 2 nodes locally, which is pretty cool. Maybe we'll look at doing that a little bit later. But right now I just want to get it up and running and then actually take a look at it with some tools, or see what tools we can dig up to look at it, right? Alright, so it's running in in the Docker container. Let's actually execute a command against it. Should run a different terminal for that. There we go. And we'll do curl. Same thing as localhost, right? Because it's running it in the container, which is just a thread process within the kernel, blah, blah, blah. And then port 9200, it's just like working against the local one, right? We got practically the same thing, we just have a different identifier. That's going to be the only real difference there, in the cluster UUID will look different from, what we just ran when I ran against the local virtual machine installed instance of it versus the one running in the container. i.e., this one is more isolated than the other one. All right, so what's a good? Oh, I guess we should look at Cabana. That's one way to look at and run against Elasticsearch. So we'll scroll through this. Cabana is primarily a dashboard reporting interface, but it lets you run queries and things like that against it too. A lot of great capabilities there. And one way to get into, if you've looked into observability, and the notions of the pedantic nature of what observability is in the industry per today, not just logging, not just metric measurements, but actually being able to track, or not even track, but see, observe and watch the events that are occurring in an application to be able to know if it's healthy or not, right? So this is a good starting point from that. That's what I was saying, and you can basically wire up various things to be able to use this tool for that. It's not always the best one, but it is a good starting point because it gives you capabilities around a lot of other stuff too. If you aren't careful about your log levels, gestion. Oh God, yes. Yeah, that's another good thing to mention for people watching this in the future. Be careful when you're playing with this stuff. I'm running it on a local VM. I already have a sunk cost. I bought this laptop. If you run this, even just one instance in AWS, you probably need to run it on a medium VM, right? Something like that, minimum. And that's going to cost you, what, $100 a month. If you run a cluster, you can quickly run into the multiple hundreds of dollars per month. And if you run it at scale and start to put legitimate volume in it, you again are talking about instantly getting into the $1,000+ a month range in short order. If you start running 6 or 7, 8 nodes, tens of thousands of dollars. It's very quick to do this. Anything with a distributed system where you really need to manage that stuff and have those capabilities, it's going to get expensive fast. I routinely see, not just Elasticsearch, but like Apache Cassandra, DataStax Enterprise clusters, when companies run those in the cloud, they'll pop up into the $50K a month range within the blink of an eye. I mean, you can run tons of queries on them. You're talking about massive scale, but it ain't cheap. And don't personally accidentally do that. Good God. Nothing scary like all of a sudden getting an AWS bill that says, oh yeah, so your bill for this month is $25K. It's like, oh God, that's not exactly my paycheck. Let me go get my allowance. Ugh, craziness. Alright, so we got this one done. Done. And now we're going to try to query some stuff. Yeah, that's a good point, man. I'm glad. I like that you're bringing that stuff up. I mean, that's why I'm doing these videos too, is to kind of provide an introduction to the database stuff. The other goofy stuff is for the other sessions, but for the database ones, I want to make sure people know where the starting points are for these databases, but also what they're getting into. I mean, it's not a whimsical thing to just go do. It can get scary real fast playing around in the cloud if one is not careful. So good point to bring that up. Thanks for bringing that up. All right, my favorite tool as of late, DataGrip. I'm going to try to open that up and see if DataGrip does anything with, what? No, don't search in DataGrip. I just want to see if DataGrip even connects to Elasticsearch, because I will say, Nyan Cat for the win! Yeah. Elasticsearch doesn't exactly do a SQL-ish, CQL-ish type syntax. They have a whole different shindig that they do around queries. But let's see, that was my SQL Server stuff. Let me close that project. And, oh, come on. Don't close the whole IDE. I do love the Nyan Cat. The Nyan Cat is just so great. I feel like the Nyan Cat needs to be more involved in some way. Like I need a heavy metal Nyan Cat. I think in my last thread though, just this one, thrashing code. Not to get off in the weeds here, but yeah, this one. So like this is perfect, but I don't want some dude shooting fire. I want like the Nyan Cat being awesome, like a Nyan Cat rainbow metal cat warrior. That's it. That's what we need. All right, back on point here. All right, so let's just do cancel file new project SQL file bash North Source project. Let's do new project. Let's try to say, well, we'll call it Elasticsearch experiments. This window. Yeah, data grip. It's data grip with the material design plugin installed. I've been installing it on everything. Also, thanks to Bobby for pointing out, making sure that I like figure out how to make the fonts bigger too. Like right now I've got much bigger font size to make sure everybody can really see the stuff that I'm showing on the screen versus like micro font in one corner and giant, grandpa font in the other corner. Don't need that kind of stuff. Just need some consistency. So I've dug through and I'm going to do some videos or something on all of that and where all that stuff is. So let's hear. I don't see an Elasticsearch thing here. So my guess is Elasticsearch being not SQL based at all. Apache Derby. Yeah, it looks like a no-go there. So let's jump out of here. And let's go here and we'll say Elasticsearch interfaces. Accessing the Kabana interface. How to build a site search UI. How to interface for web UI that supports importing data. Search kit UI components. The missing web UI for Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch management, monitoring. How to develop user interface. I don't want to develop a user interface. I want a user interface. Oh, here we go. GUI clients. So what do we got? I got Elasticsearch GUI, Postman. Oh no, go back. What did just happen? Let's see here. Postman, Elasticsearch. Red Badger's blog, multi-search request, and Postman. So I mean, the main interface that's set up for Elasticsearch is via the UI like this. So you do curls, put push, etc., using the standard verbs of HTTP. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to use this. I want a nice interface like data grip. So view data view GitHub. Try live demo. Yeah, let's see how this works. I'm going to have to write verbs in this too, probably. Open app in old Deja Vu. Data browser. Disconnect. Let's put in the local deal. Local host. 9200. And then connect. Oh, it does? Elasticsearch. Oh, let me try to, oh, there ain't no S for 1. And then maybe do this, 127.0.0.1. Oh, look, if you're running this via Docker, oh, make sure you have cores enabled for your Elasticsearch instance. Add the following lines to your ES configuration. Oh, that's a bunch of... I don't want to have to do that either right now. I just want to... yeah. See, the point of this stream is not to hack the configuration. The point is to get up and running with the database and then experiment with it. So Elasticsearch, Elastic Crew, here's something where you can fix this. I don't want to have to do this. I don't want to have to fiddle around with this. I get it that this is not your interface, but you know, let's see what else I got here. Getting started with Elasticsearch, training sessions, installing. Oh, and there's Brew if you're on Mac OS, which is good. Creating and indexing a type. Yeah. I mean, it is pretty awesome the way it works. Well, anyway, let's consider this. Like I said, the key of this one is to. Oh, what's the wrong thing? Is to get through the key installation objectives. Oh, I wasn't the right one. Oh, I'm just opening it to get it. I don't want it in get it. I want it in code. Here we go. Alright. I'll say done here. Just because we checked, and yeah, it's no-go. So you can't really run that stuff from there. Determine possibly another IDE. I'm going to say done there. We tried. There isn't really an IDE per se. But let's get Cabana up and running. Because that's basically, whenever you see Elasticsearch anywhere, you're going to see it paired with, yeah, exactly. It's a hot mess of the new use onboarding. It's a good way to put it. Let's see here. Elastic Kibana. I mean, it's, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of easy to get into this, but I feel like I might have that skewed perspective because I've been doing this a long time. But as I'm looking at this, it's just like that, I mean, somebody just getting started, this is not exactly going to be friendly to them. So, alright, where's the install for this? Download. And I'm not going to use the deb there. I want like a, yeah, repositories guide. Installing Kabana yourself. Let's go the deb route. Same thing. Oh, and is this the, yeah, so that's all that mess. Then we just want to do, I'm assuming the same repo is going to work for both. I'm taking a wild shot here. So let's go with that and try it. By the way, can y'all hear the tunes? Okay, are they super loud, super quiet, non-existent? I usually find if I keep them around, like, what is it, 40 or 50 on the level on the stream, they're there, but not super annoying. There we go. Okay. That's straight up. Unpacking Cabana. I do love, too, how Elastic synced up their versions. So they used to have, like, 2.3 and 4.0 and whatever, a bunch of disparate versions among Elasticsearch, Cabana, Beats, all that stuff, and they just synced it up. So every time they do, they've synced up their releases, too, so as they develop the products, whenever they drop new versions, they kind of drop them across the board, so that they stay in sync across that too as far as usability and everything. Alright, so now we have that running in the Docker instance, which is all cool. And we just installed this locally, so, and it is, I'm probably going to need to run it in Docker too, but right now I have this installed locally, so let's keep working from that perspective. I'm going to add it to systemd there, and then get it started. Boom. All right. And then, let's see here. What is the first step then? All right, I have it started, right? And what is the port? I mean, it's just, you just navigate it to it in your browser at this point, but explore Kabana using the flights dashboard on the homepage. Of course, did we just skip anything that tells you where? Yeah, installing, starting and stopping Kabana, configuring Kabana, running Kabana on Docker, connecting Kabana with Elasticsearch. Yeah, this is what we want to do. So, oh, there we go, 5601. So either that or, yeah, there we go. So I'm running this locally, and it should just work, right? Yeah, let's do our sample data. How does providing? Yeah, sure. Sample weblog, sample flight data. Yeah, so add that. Is it going to put it in my? Well, my only place to put it is in the. Wow! So it just put all that data in there. Let's add the other stuff. I haven't used Kabana in a while. It should. I know, right? This should work. Oh, shit. Alright, so I want to look at flight data. Airplanes are freaking cool. Selling crap is cool if you're selling it, but I don't sell stuff. I fly places all the time, though. Let's see here. Oh, this is awesome. Abu Dhabi. Let's go Amsterdam to Chicago. Okay, sure, whatever. Can I go to Seattle? Come on, man. I don't want to go to Chicago. What? Seattle's not in there? You gotta be kidding me. Well, there's Seattle. I guess you can only go certain places. Well, in that case, I'm gonna stick with the pair of Amsterdam and then Chicago. Right? And apply the changes. What's that do? Oh, average ticket price. Total flights, 1. Trippy. Timestamp per minute. I wonder what all... I don't really know what this data is, but you get the idea. So it's searching the results of the data that it put into the database, right? So let's try it. I can do more. Oh wait, there's Portland. Yeah, Portland. I don't know about Toronto. So Toronto's a great place, I'm sure, but average ticket price. This doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you have 2 origin cities and 2 destination cities? Let's do this and this. See what happens. Data that doesn't exist. Yeah, okay, so it doesn't exist. Anyway. Oh, and these are the filters. So, well, one neat thing. Oh, yeah, maybe, yeah, that's a good point. One neat thing about this is definitely showing the cool Kabana interface. Oh, this is the average. That's your average ticket price. And then, I don't know what it's saying there. Oh. Flight count, average ticket price, timestamp for 30 minutes. Logstash Airways, Jet Beats, Cabana Airlines, Elasticsearch Air. That's cute. I like y'all's data. It's cute. So flight delays and cancellations. Wow, 40% flight delays? This is one of the worst airlines. Cancellations. So yeah, this is Kabana. This is the dashboard. This is some default data. Oh, and they have a word cloud. Oh, that's cute too. Yeah, this is the kind of thing that's super easy to download and then show this to, management. Oh, look, pretty reports. Then they're really happy, right? Anyway, that's fun. it just shoved all that into our cluster though. So let's go to Discover though and actually take a look. All right, now this is the interface that you would get super used to when playing with Elasticsearch, because this is just the straight up data. Because the way this works is Elasticsearch stores basically a timestamp, which ends up being like a unique identifier, and then this JSON data, right? It just loads a JSON data, and you can search based on this stuff because it's searching. It's not looking for like a tight index against a specific columnar thing or something like that. Like in Cassandra, it would search against an index or a secondary index per the distributed systems nature of it. In Elasticsearch, though, it's searching against basically the whole blurb of stuff in every single row. So it really changes the paradigm in the way it searches. And if you want to dig even deeper into the specifics, what you do is you go check out Lucene, because the Lucene search engine is the core of Elasticsearch, and it's used in other things too. Let's see. All right, that's searchable. Well, let's see if we can create something here. Search. I don't know. This is a machine learning thing. Just want to see what else is going on here. Select an index, import data. That's cool. Infrastructure. Setup instructions. What is that? Oh yeah, okay. Oh look, Docker metrics. Elasticsearch metrics. Kafka. Oh, Postgres metrics. That's cool. How do I do that? Just copy snippets. See, this is what I hate. I don't want to always go to the command line to curl something. It's always frustrating. That is, however, the way that you interact with Elasticsearch is you curl everything, because it's all HTTP based, which is awesome in its own right because it's super easy to automate then. So we got Golang metrics. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to play around with some of this stuff. This is pretty slick though. Redis, RabbitMQ. I'm like, I want some Cassandra metrics here. Zookeeper metrics. Windows metrics. Whatever. APM. Oh, Apache logs. Aerospike metrics. Aerospike's another database. Maybe we'll check that out sometime soon. Nginx. Traffic. Security analytics. I like that. Example web logs. Yeah, so cool stuff. Dev tools. Get to work. Oh, and here's where you can actually put together. This is the thing. Like, this is needed for other parts of it, right? Other user interfaces. This is your basic query engine, right? Like, boom, there's the thing you're querying. But not super intuitive about how you write this stuff. But you can get your curls this way, right? So there it is as a curl request. And then if you learn how to put together a curl request at the CLI, you can use this to just grab it and then run with it. But it's easier just to come in here and actually run these things and try the different stuff. So git, blah. See, it does some autocomplete. Let's do health. We'll just do the same thing here. Query, blah, blah, blah. What does it say? Expected one of somethings. Well, that's what we just did. Git is the thing. Oh, oops. Needs to be on the right. It needs to be properly formatted JSON, right? Oh, this is way pickier than I thought it was. Git and method post allowed git. It is a git. That's what I'm trying to run, is a git. Search profiler. Grok debugger. Turn on monitoring. Management. Okay, well that's cool. For Cabana, since that's basically our user interface into this whole thing, let's actually look at Docker in that sense. So, what is it? So installing Kabana, Debian package. It's got to be running Kabana on Docker. So we'll do a Docker pull. What's it say? Use expected, deprecated field, whatever. Oh, and we need to, it's your sudo systemcl, new terminal. We'll start that up and then we'll stop it. So sudo systemctl stop kabana.service. There we go. Okay, so our local one stopped. Get out of there. That's running. Let's look at what Docker is up to at the moment. We can see we've had that up for 31 minutes. And that's running right here in this log still. Alright, we got the Kabana Docker image. Behind mounted. General settings, listings. I don't think I need to run that. Is that really not going to give a... Okay, I kind of want to go look at that in a minute, just to cover the bases. It's here, accessing Kabana, checking Kabana status. Heap total. No, like... So they tell you to go get it with Docker, and then they don't give you the suggested way to run it. Am I missing that? Do y'all see where it says to run it? Example, Docker environment variables. Environment variable changes. Docker pull, configuring, and then boom. That's all I get, huh? Elasticsearch. Oh, they're on 7.0. It's 7.0 beta. So let's here pull it, and then let's go look at the documentation for it. See if we can get in there and find something. So I don't want to have to configure it. I just want to run it, and it should point at the local IP, I would think. Environment variables, accessing Kabana, connect Kabana with Elasticsearch. Let's try that. Is this where start? Running Kabana on Docker. Docker images and tags available here. It's on GitHub. Source code is in the GitHub. So, does this say make from snapshot? This is crap too. I was running on CentOS. I think that's where some of this convention comes from also. Oh, and lucky number 11. Thanks for the host. Where is the... I want to see it in the docs. I'm not just going to run it. That's the thing I want to avoid. Again, I'm trying to look for the most straightforward approach here and not like some crazy offshoot thing here. Alright, I'm about to just start running stuff and we'll just do it however. Okay, let's just start randomly trying this out. So Docker images, that's what we have downloaded. We have the Elasticsearch stuff and the Kabana stuff there. And of course SQL Server Linux and Postgres from previous sessions. I'm surprised. I don't know why the Cassandra one isn't here. I did a whole session on it. Maybe I messed up my VM and reloaded it. Anyway, so yeah, Docker images. And what would be the command? So like Docker run. Anybody have suggestions? So Docker run. What is it? Let's do. What was the one we ran for here? Actually, let's kill that. Closing. And we did Docker run, but we need to open up port, what is it, 5106? Accessing Kabana, connecting Kabana, 5601. So let's see here. I do it like this one, so we'll do. So run -p 5601 to 5601. I think that's the only one we really need to do. And I don't know what else to pick there. Hello, Radari. Welcome. We're working on taking the straightforward approach to running a Cabana Docker container at the moment, and looking at it and running through it from the docs, which so far has been, the docs aren't exactly the friendliest way to do this without a lot of assumed knowledge. So I guess what I need to do is, actually let's see here, Docker PS, Docker images. And then that's probably what I want. So I want to do, oh, of course I didn't. Docker run. I'm going to open up the port, or attempt to open up this port. I don't know if this is going to work. 5601, 5601. And then, I don't know if I need to pass any parameters. Configure a pattern. Do not want to use a time filter. Oh, so Docker is basically a thing to run containers, which can run all sorts of stuff, right? So, and that's what I'm running this particular Elasticsearch engine in right now, and I'm trying to run Kabana. So Kabana is like the user interface dashboard for Elasticsearch, and I'm trying to run it and point it at my Elasticsearch cluster so I can see stuff. We did one a minute ago, which is pretty cool, and it has sample data like airline flights and all sorts of crazy stuff, and looked at that, but that was just running locally. So I know that one works, but I'm trying to get the Docker one to work. And at this point, I'm using assumed knowledge and just kind of hacking at it. Oh yeah, I don't even mess with Kubernetes until post facto. It's still kind of, yeah, we'll get to that point at one thing. So one of the objectives too about this bunches of databases and bunches of weeks series that I'm doing is I'm not trying to set up the servers on a server, right? I'm just trying to set up stuff locally to use for like local development. And that's why in each session I'm trying to install it locally, like just purely as a service or whatever locally, and then use a Docker container. Those are usually the two main ways to get something running locally to start development against. And that's what all the day one episodes of my bunches of databases and bunches of weeks are going to be. And then as I move to day two is going to be, okay, I'm actually writing code using connectors or drivers or whatever against those data sources. And then day three is going to be like, all right, I got to deploy this because I want people to see what I built. And then we're going to get into Kubernetes and whether to run something as containers or not as containers, like stateful sets, what happens when your ephemeral data thing goes away, all that kind of stuff. So the day three episodes are going to get super, it's going to get crazy, as you probably know, Robert Tables, because that part's actually pretty damn complicated with some of this stuff, especially with the distributed database systems. So let's hear. I'm just gonna go with docker.elastic.co/Cabana and hope. What? Is that not what it is? It says right here. Copy. Maybe I just typed it wrong. Yeah, crazy is it's my favorite too. Oh, what's the bloody thing to say start this whatever? Docker run reference. Yeah, Docker run options, then image. Oh, do I just need to do like latest tag or something? Is that what it's saying? I'm able to find image locally. You crazy, Docker. Do y'all see what I typed wrong there? So Docker run -p 5601 5601. I don't know, just go with the darn image tag. That's still usable, right? Can I do that still? Hey, that was something. Maybe, maybe not. Let's look in the browser. Oh, it's just taking forever because oh yeah, this is one of those things that is not fast at all to start. Yeah. This is a dev machine, man. That's all I'm doing. But yeah, another good point. Don't use latest in prod. Do not do that. You will completely knock yourself over at some point. If you do that, you'll end up pulling images that are everything from dev to test to prototype to super alpha stages. You want to pull based on a tag that you know what it is, like version 6.6 or special version I made or whatever your tag is. You want to pull by that tag. Don't do latest. That has a special meaning, and it can load you up with the stuff that you do not want. But we are doing just a dev box right now, and a test dev box at that. So, all right, there we got some request timeouts going on. So anything at all? Well, at least we have timeouts happening. Non-plugin directory. Okay, I'm going to give it like 30 more seconds and then we'll try something else. I'm definitely going to send this video to the Elasticsearch crew. It'd be like, hey, here's the dilemmas. I mean, I've used Elasticsearch and set it up for production in places, and I do remember this. Like going through this, I would have to go look at the docs and then go look at other docs completely unrelated to Elasticsearch or Kabana itself to figure out how to use Elasticsearch and Kabana, because the happy path flow is just, it doesn't seem to exist in the docs. There's like some weird assumptions that like maybe it's like the CentOz Linux users assumption or something, but I always just fall on my face trying to do this. And it takes a while to get Elasticsearch up and running in a dev environment. Once you're going, it's a pretty slick system, but yeah, that initial, what'd you call it earlier, Robert? Like the A hot mess of new use onboarding. Onboarding hot mess. New use onboarding hot mess. Yeah. That is, yeah. Where is that? Somebody should do a clip of that. I'm going to try to do a clip of that. Getting this thing figured out yet. So anyway, are we dead in the water still? Yeah, so I guess that's not working. Could not be obtained from Elasticsearch from the data cluster as pack plugin. Request timeout after 30 milliseconds. Alright, well I'm just going to kill that one. That way. Close terminal. So starting the Docker, the Cabana Docker, it doesn't even seem like there's a docs path for that, which is honestly super shitty. If I was trying to get started with this right now, I would be mad. Oh, let's try this though. Let's start this and then try that again. I guess maybe it's reasonable to expect Kabana to blow up if there's no default server to connect to, even though that shouldn't be it. That really should not be the thing. So let's see, what do? We did Docker run port 5601, 5601. Oh, phooey, and then I forgot the image name again. Docker images run -p 5601, 5601. I undo the image ID is how I had to do it. Boom. What? Port is already allocated. Oh. Docker PS. Oh, it's still off running in the ether. So Docker stop. Well, actually, let's see if is it still just not connecting anything. Yeah, let's try this again. So this is the ID. And Docker PS. All right. Now, okay, Elasticsearch is up. It's been up for a minute. Named Relapsed Franklin. Love these auto-generated names for Docker. I'm going to try to run that again. Yeah. What do we got here? Will it run? You know, I wrote that as a joke. I just assumed this stuff would run because I got it to work before. But, oh. Enabling Chromium Sandbox provides an additional layer of protection. Da, da, da. It started doing something. These aren't specifically timeouts. But they're not exactly what we want either. Oh man. Yeah. Come on, Elastic. Y'all gotta get this figured out. Alright. I'm gonna call it. That's a bad mark. So notes. Docker Kabana has no actual happy path. What gives? So I'll add that to the blog entry that I'll eventually put together. Okay, so we at least have the images installed for Elasticsearch and Kibana. In the day 2, when we start to do dev against these things, I'll actually show you the hacks for getting the Cabana shit to work. But I don't even want to get into that right now, because if it's not in the docs, it's not in the happy path, it's not relevant to getting started easy. Like, simply put, Elasticsearch is not something that you can get started easy with based on how those things are laid out right now. I mean, we just went through it, looking at the docs, looking at various options, and there wasn't a way to get Kabana running against all that. I mean, if you wanted to run search and other things like that, there's other ways to go. But we'll get into the specifics of that, like I said, in a day 2 session where we really start to get hacking on some code related to these things. But that's good, and we also got it installed locally, running, via systemd. SQL Server is installed locally too. I should have noted how each of these things are running. Postgres is installed. So is pgadmin. You know, as I go through these, it becomes evident too why so much is still done with relational databases, even when it shouldn't be done with relational databases, because there's just so much tooling built around them. They're extremely easy to get started with. I think of the more complex systems, probably the easiest one, and I'm not saying that because I work at DataStax, but Cassandra is one of the easier ones just because, like for instance, DataGrip even works against it. It has a SQL-like syntax with CQL. It has a CLI to connect with, the shell, CQLSH. You can use general tools to connect to it, and you can write general SQL-ish like stuff to query against it, which makes it pretty awesome. And I hate to say it, but I guess Mongo is probably one of those too. But I have other qualms with the architecture of it. Just like in the early days of MySQL, I didn't call MySQL a relational database because it stored plain old text files and it had no relational integrity and no relationships. So that was kind of nuts. It's a full-on relational database now, but yeah. That's all adapters and abstractions. Yeah. All right. So let's see here. We got that sorted. That's kind of, closed terminal. It's still trying to go. Let's clean up a little bit though and see what we have running in Docker. Is it okay? Yeah, this thing is still trying to do whatever the heck it's doing. So I'm gonna stop that one. Oh, is it dead? I guess. I mean, it's kind of MariaDB now too, right? I don't know. I'm just gonna say it this way. Every time I have to deal with databases, I usually am walking into a scenario where people are already pushing the limits and creating very large stores of data and needing to do really massive things with it. MySQL has been known to be used for things like that, especially with sharding and stuff. But I like to go easy path as much as possible. I don't want companies to spend tons of money spinning their wheels, messing with other solutions that are going to get them into trouble. So my defaults are like Apache Cassandra, DataStax Enterprise stuff, which is built around the core Apache projects, which are pretty much all of those are pretty solid projects. Kafka, Storm, those things like that. For relational databases, it's freaking Postgres. Like if you're going to use an open source database, Postgres. Like I don't even think twice about it. That's what you want to use. And with the scaling capabilities of other things like the company that Microsoft just bought, they just totally up-leveled their game with Postgres, because Postgres can do certain type of sharding with that now that still gives you relational integrity, which is kind of like a huge reason why you use relational databases. So yeah, it's Apache Cassandra, DataStax Enterprise, kind of the same thing in my book. Then Postgres for relational, and then for the other stuff, depending on what a company's doing, like if they need to dive into GeoQuery, time series, some of that other very specific data, then it gets a little different because the solutions aren't as clear cut. But right now, those are the two big ones that I always suggest out of the box. If a shop is heavy BI and heavy reporting, I routinely also would suggest SQL Server. SQL Server is not a bad database. And now that it runs on Linux, it has stayed in the I will refer this database list. If for a while there, I'd gotten so far away from anything that needs to run on Windows Server, I was just like, forget it. But a couple of years ago, they just dropped a hammer and were like, we're going to release this and let it run on Linux. And they did. And I did it last session. Like, go watch last session. It's pretty impressive. It's badass, honestly. Like, SQL Server is pretty badass in that regard. So let's see here. Little maintenance here. As we wrap up, I need to start pushing my Discord, too, for during session. Who should we raid now? There's like a whole... Well, there's 7 of us now. That's definitely a raidable crew to go raid, especially anybody that's halfway toward a mutiny, right? And how do I put my chat window back in my thing? 64 terabytes in RAW. AWS increased their DB size limit to 32 terabytes for RDS for a reason. That is it. Yeah, wow, crazy. That's another place I like to use Postgres. Like, if I'm going to use Postgres, a lot of the time it ends up being I spool it up on AWS and RDS for a reason. 64 terabytes is just, that's getting into crazy space there. That's when I start to scratch my head and go, sure you still want it there? Do you want to start putting it in a distributed database? Start to manage some of that resiliency? Does it all need to be in your Postgres database? Because even though it might be able to store it there, I don't mean you're going to be able to query 64 terabytes worth of crap. But yeah, so let's hear. Who is online? The other good question is, what is the easiest way to look at who's online when you're basically already kind of like logged in, doing your thing, you've got your dashboard open? That's a good question. So I think who I'm going to raid is Steampunk Programmer. Steampunk Programmer does some pretty cool stuff and is working on Metroidvania right now. Game development. He's got a picture of his setup, which is pretty rad. Also writes a lot of C++, which is always freaking awesome to watch. So, yeah, let's raid Steampunk Programmer here. Steampunk. Oh, if you put it in the dashboard, it actually lights up a whole list of people. So we're going to raid them. And as everybody queues up, I am throwing in the outro here. So load up, everybody.